Hey, good evening, guys. Firstly, apologies for the horsey voice. It was a certain football match was on last night, and it went to extra time and penalties. So these are the results you have to deal with, unfortunately. But before we get into the action, let me introduce the panel. Welcome back again, Adam.
Hello, thanks for having me back.
Excellent. And Craig, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. You sound like you've been through it, but hope you're all right.
I'm good. Good to go. This show will help me get through it, to be fair. Tony, how you doing, mate? Working over the Arsenal last night?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was good. It was entertaining.
Yeah. And Jake, Man City fan? Pleased to see Arsenal.
Yeah, well, not really, but yeah, never know.
And George making his debut tonight.
Hey, how you doing, mate? I'm a bit the same. I'm a bit like Offspray at the minute.
Bit hoarse, so yeah, apologies for that, but I'm sure these guys will have lots to talk about, so you won't have to hear my very weird voice at the moment. So yeah, we'll get into it. Smackdown last week. We kicked off the show, didn't we, with a Prime announcement. We had Logan Paul start the show, and then KSI come out, and we said that Prime will now be the ring sponsor. I'll start with you, Adam, to be fair. What did you make of that whole thing? Is that just a work, or do you think that is a deal that WWE have signed?
So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's legitimate. I mean, Prime's a top brand. Obviously, Logan Paul is, he's part of the WWE kind of business family, whatever you want to call it. Unlike many people, including people I've spoken to, personal friends and that, I have no issue with it at all. They've had ring sponsorship in boxing and MMA and everything else. I think even TNA had ring sponsorship 12 years ago or something. Prime, it's a brand. It's a hydration drink. I think it fits well enough to wrestling. I know Mick Foley showed, a photoshopped image of, how ridiculous it would have been. But I don't think it was that big a deal if there had been a ring sponsorship when he went through it. If he'd gone through the sponsor logo, well, more the better for both of them, I guess. It's business. I mean, again, I said to my friend, bear in mind the sort of the wrestling roots, the sort of carny roots of wrestling. The whole thing about business. I'm surprised they haven't done more sponsorship. You very rarely had wrestlers with sponsorship logos, anything like that. You mostly get, this tonight's match is brought to you by Progressive Insurance, whatever. Maybe I shouldn't name them. We should get some money off them now. I don't know. Yeah. It's time to pay up. But I have no issue with it at all. I think Prime, I don't. Prime is what it is. I know those guys have been involved with Arsenal here and there as well, so clearly not too bad. I'm absolutely fine with it. Again, it's kind of a heelish move as well. I think they've kind of introduced it in the right way because I know people wouldn't like it. But I think people will get used to it. I think it is legitimate. I think it will stay. And I have no problem with it whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember Slim Jim sponsoring Halloween Havoc. So, yeah, I think we've got BX Gunn. I think just said the same thing. Good evening. This show is brought to you by Slim Jims. Unfortunately, they're not paying.
Good old macho man, Randy Savage.
Randy Savage. Good evening, BX Gunn as well. And I think we've got Tariq as well. Hey, he's coming on the show next week, so we have another new face. Randy Orton come out. I think he spoiled the party, didn't he? He come out and he had a drink of Prime. Well, first of all, he tried to RKO Logan Paul, and that didn't happen. And then poor old KSI, who's probably my favourite YouTuber, got a nice RKO for his troubles. And then he seemed to pour it all over him as well, which gave him a nice little bath. Which it led us into our first match of the night, didn't it, as well? So we had Randy Orton versus KO versus Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Tony, what did you make of that match? We talked about it last week about seeing the likes of KO and Randy team up together. It was good to see them actually work together as a tag team pair. And do you think this Logan Paul and Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, is that a start of a faction or something?
I mean, the match was just an okay match. I think it was just a generic tag team match. I don't think it was anything really special, in my opinion. But I do see the whole Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and Grayson Waller thing kind of as a faction. I can see maybe a 6-man tag match at WrestleMania between them, maybe. Don't know quite. I haven't thought of it fully who the other person could be. So, what do you guys think? Maybe I don't know if I've got any ideas on that one. But yeah, I mean, the RKO was pretty good at the end. The springboard, where he picked him up and done an RKO, that was pretty decent. You can always guarantee Randy Orton to have a good finish in any of his matches. So yeah, I think it was okay. To be honest, it was all right. It weren't the best match, like I said, but the match was pretty decent.
Yeah, just hello again, Mr. Tom as well. He's in the chat. Nice to see you here, mate. When we talk about, we started last week, mate. Should have been here for the first one, but you're here now, so that's all that matters. And Craig, we saw at the end of the match, Logan Paul come out, and he blindsided KO and Randy Orton, and then Randy Orton seemed to nick his brass knucks. Do you think it will hold on to them till they're obviously going to have a match at WrestleMania for the US title? Could you see them coming into play, him bringing them back out the trunks and using them on Logan Paul?
Yeah, I think they might play a part in the match. Whether someone actually gets to use them or not, I don't know. I think it's safe to say he might keep hold of them, but what's to say Logan or one of his little cronies in the audience doesn't have a pair spare laying around? So I think it's inevitable. It'll probably happen somewhere in the match. Depends on the type of match, that it could have a stipulation to it maybe, where they can just be used anyway. But yeah, I guess we'll see.
And Jake, do you think what Tarek said here in the chat is pretty could happen? Theory and Weller will split. You think Theory will go his own way because he's being used, and maybe a face turn in the future?
I can possibly see that, as you've seen Christian Waller talk about himself and leave out Theory, and you see his reactions sometimes when he's not mentioned. So I think something might happen at Mania, possibly, if they supporting Logan and something around with that brass knuckle or something with what Randy's got. Or could happen that, hopefully.
And then that was the opening of SmackDown. It wasn't too bad. And then George, we went into the second match of the night. Sorry, where it was Bobby Lashley versus Karrion Kross. Where do you see this going in terms of Lashley and the Street Profits and Karrion Kross in his faction, which the Last Testament? Do you see it building to a massive 6-man tag team match, possibly at WrestleMania, or is that the sort of match that would be on the pre-show?
I do see it building to a 6-man tag. I think it will be on the pre-show, but I don't know if the others see it. But Kross was trying to stir it a bit with Dawkins as well, saying about like they need a new lead. So I could see Dawkins. I think it was Dawkins. Like actually turning heel. And maybe turning on, maybe not at Mania, but maybe the SmackDown after. I was going to say the Raw, but then on the SmackDown after Mania, so I could see that happening. I think it's a good feud between Lashley and Karrion Kross. It's the Kross that we've wanted to see, like the one that was there when he first came. I weren't that impressed with that one, but then like a lot's changed since then. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying that feud, to be fair.
And Adam, I just want to get your thoughts on Kross and Lashley. Who do you think goes over at potentially Mania, and who do you think has got going to get a push if he was to pick out of them two?
So first of all, on that, I remember thinking when I was watching it, Bobby Lashley versus Karrion Kross in a kind of another world, another universe. This could almost be a marquee match at a pay-per-view, at a WrestleMania, even maybe not a world title, although. The question, but certainly, it could have been a US title match, an intercontinental title match. They're both, pretty established guys. They're both pretty over with the crowd. I know Karrion Kross has kind of treaded water a little bit, and Bobby Lashley is again kind of below the surface, one of a better term. But yeah, I do remember thinking that both of them, they kind of need this. They kind of need to lift each other up with this feud, and I think it certainly does seem to be looking towards that 6-man. I hope, and I do predict as well, it'll probably be Karrion Kross and the AOP going over. I think, as someone else mentioned, we're probably looking in the next kind of 3 to 6 months of the split of the Street Profits, with maybe Montez Ford getting that individual push, and obviously Bobby Lashley maybe moving on to other things. So I can see that. I don't know if they've got to name that faction with Ellering and Cross and AOP and Scarlett, everybody else. They seem stronger. It's almost like they're kind of moving one after the other. So kind of Judgment Day followed the Bloodline, and this faction is kind of following Judgment Day, and they'll probably try and build them up. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be Karrion Kross and AOP coming out on top on this feud.
I liked Karrion Kross when he first arrived. He was good in NXT. They tried to build him up as like undefeated and that, and I think they just got it all wrong when he moved to the main roster. I personally can't wait to see Scarlett in a match. I think she's actually got a bit of talent and she might be quite good. So after that, we moved on to probably the most important part of the show. We had Tiffy time. And I know we spoke about her last week and we were all praising her. It was a kind of another squash match. They kind of played it like Mitchum she's a bit depressed because of the OC is split and stuff like that. Craig, how many more squash matches do you think she needs before she's up there with the likes of how Becky Lynch is getting matches with Liv Morgan, them sort of elevated matches that we saw on Raw? How many more do you think she needs before she makes that step?
I mean, personally, I don't think she needs that many more, but whether they decide to continue giving them, because I think we spoke about it last week with the competition in the women's division at the moment. You've got so many set, 2 set matches, and then you don't really know where everyone else kind of stands. Where you could have like a great match with, Tiffy, you've got Naomi back. You've got so many different aspects. I don't want her to continue in squash. I'd like to see her have like a rivalry with someone, but I just don't see how they're going to implement it in time before Mania, whether it's something that maybe comes to light after Mania and these squash matches continue maybe until then. But I definitely would like to see, but I think we spoke about this, maybe Money in the Bank next year might be her big push, but you'd like to see her in some key matches before then.
And are we all Tiffy fans here? Or is there anyone who doesn't like her?
Yeah.
No, George, you like her? You like Tiffy?
Yeah, I liked her in NXT. So,
we got Money in the Bank, didn't we, in July? So I think we all agree that she should be in that match, definitely in the women's side, and hopefully, we would all like to see her win it and push on this year. Is there anyone else on that women's? If Bayley eventually wins it, do you think it's her time to step up, or is there anyone else on that SmackDown roster, women's side, that you could potentially see Bayley having a long-term feud with? And Tony, I'll ask you that one, mate.
Mine's gone blank.
There's not too many, is there, on the SmackDown roster?
No, there's not. I'm just trying to think. Not really. I mean, you probably could. I mean, Naomi, but then I think, is she on Raw? Yeah, Naomi. I don't know. I don't know. Off the top of my head, it's very, very difficult to pick someone that isn't already in the title picture.
Yeah.
I think it might be a time where maybe they'll bring some more female talent up from NXT again. I know they've done that with Tiff and they're doing it with some others, but I think if they need to get some more people up there.
That's it. That's a good question. I'm going to go around and ask you all. Give me one NXT woman to come up right now. I'll start with you, Adam.
I haven't watched NXT in about 3 years, so I'll go with...
Yeah, I'm the same.
Okay. Well, I'll go Nikita Lyons. George?
I've seen, to be fair, okay. I've seen her. I'd agree with that one,
I'd probably go Cora Jade.
Yeah, Cora Jade's a good shout.
Yeah.
Jade?
I thought her for Money in the Bank, but I didn't know she was NXT. I thought she was on the main roster.
She's been up and down, hasn't she? She's been
injured a lot. She's had a lot of injuries, though. Yeah, she's had a lot of injuries over the last 6 to 8 months.
George, anyone from you?
I was going to say Cora.
Yeah, as well. And Jake?
I'd see either Cora or Roxanne Perez.
Yeah, some good shouts in the chat as well. Roxanne Perez, Jane. Tariq reckons Bailey and Dakota could be a good feud that will go to SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that last week, didn't we? I think that's got huge potential to once she wins it after WrestleMania. You'd like to think that the whole Damage Control and even Bailey potentially winning the title isn't going to squash any sort of rivalry with Damage Control. I think it will continue after WrestleMania, and that would be a great match for SummerSlam. I think Bailey and Dakota, 100%.
Yeah, I think Dakota's definitely earned her stripes now, so she deserves a little run. And then we went on to, Dragon Lee, he fighted Angel, and the whole feud was carrying on with, I still can't pronounce the faction, Los Fantasma, we'll call them, and the LWO. George, this is obviously building to a massive match, probably a 6-man, could be even more potentially with the members they've got. Do you see LWO coming out on top, or is it a push for Fantasma?
Because I only watched bits of this, so I don't know. I know Rey Mysterio come back, didn't he? So I mean, if he was in the match in Mania, I could see them coming over, but I don't think he would be. But so and plus because I can't say their faction, so I'm just going to call them Angel and.
Is it Legado del Fantasma?
Yeah.
How I've remembered that.
Right, gold star for Craig.
Yes.
I think they'll actually get a push. I don't actually mind them. So I think it's quite a good feud between. It's shown that they're showcasing the talent on show as well, like Dragon Lee as well.
And I mean, we touched on it last week, Adam. It's building, obviously, it could be Rey versus Santos Escobar with probably both factions at ringside. Do you see them being included in the match, or would it be potentially just a one-on-one?
No, I'd be very surprised if the larger factions weren't involved. I could even see a mixed tag, which potentially may have happened. Obviously, with I should have mentioned earlier, obviously B-Fab, and that could happen with that other AOP as well. One question I kind of have to the room. So obviously, I was watching SmackDown, and the commentators mentioned Dragon Lee was representing the LWO or something like that, a proud representative of the LWO. Is he a member? Did I miss that? Was he inducted, or are they just saying he's?
I must have missed that with you.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he is.
There was definitely a line in the commentary about saying Dragon Lee something, representing LWO or words to that effect, which I'd never noticed. But I'm absolutely positive. Angel and Garza and all of them. I can't see it just being one-on-one now. They've been building up so well. They won't just be at ringside. It should be a 6 or 8-person mixed tag at least.
In my opinion, that's what happened with SmackDown. That no LW came out. I've got a slight feeling it might see triple threat, because Dragon Lee would be pissed off that no one came to help him. So I think Dragon Lee might turn on Rey or someone and make it a triple threat, possibly.
Potentially, yeah, it could be. Just a couple more hellos in the North Bank's in. He's saying your panel looks good fit for a gauntlet match. I'm in no fit state for any matches, mate. And I've gone Sean Dyche tonight. So yeah. I've been compared to a few people, but not Sean Dyche. So thanks for that, mate. But yeah, I think WWE did that thing where they automatically put someone in a storyline without actually doing it. They just think, oh yeah, and they're making us think about it, and now they're just going to probably go with it. But personally, Dragon Lee is going to be Rey Mysterio, isn't he? 2.0. I think when Rey eventually hangs up the boots, because now he's in the Hall of Fame. Let's get that right.
No, he's done you dirty.
I had to do it. Sorry. Then we moved on to our last segment of the night, and we had The Rock come out with a new entrance. It was pretty epic. I thought I was watching Black Adam at one point, but still the same thing. Was you surprised, Jake, to see Rock still using the same music with that entrance?
Mate, I would reckon, as he's heel now, I bet it looked even better as he was heel, like more dramatic. That made it more like his style, but like better, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's what I think that happened. Yeah.
Do we all agree he should be using that Hollywood theme or another version?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
It needs to happen this SmackDown. So if you're listening, Rocky, change your music, mate. So then we went on to the promo, and it was, I don't know about you guys, I felt it was a bit short. It was kind of rushed. I didn't like the ending where the slap and that was it. The camera's cut off. I wanted a bit more, maybe a bit more face to face. But it was such an epic promo. It was the first time they've been in the ring together, or since that press conference in Vegas. I'll go around to each of you one by one. I just want to get your thoughts and feelings on the promo. I'll start with you, Tony.
Yeah, I think again it was The Rock dropping gospel, as he always says. I think it was a good promo. I think it got to it was getting to the destination where it needed to be at that point. I think it set out perfectly for Raw, which we'll talk about after. I think Seth Rollins still irritates me, but yeah, he just really irritates me. I won't say too much, but I think it was a good promo. Yeah, I think the job was done. It done what it needed to do. I think, like you said, it went on for about 10 minutes. I think after all the entrances and everything, it was 10 minutes. They could have done it. They could have done it a bit longer. But obviously that meant cutting off time. And we spoke about that before in the last show about time. But yeah, it was pretty decent. Like you said, I think at the end with the slap, I think it kind of made us want him more. So I think that was what they done on purpose. So then it kind of led to Raw on Monday.
Adam, what did you make of it? Was basically Seth Rollins that was answering the challenge. Cody didn't say too much, to be fair, in that promo. It was kind of all Seth. What did you make of it?
Yeah, so I kind of agree with what Tony said there with, leaving wanting more. That felt a bit kind of 1997, 98, both Raw and Nitro were both good at that. You were both thinking, oh, what kind of, now there's still stuff happening, we're going to miss it. And that was kind of a good thing, I think. There's been a lot of talking in this feud, on bloody that press conference, wherever it was, on Raw, on SmackDown, on Instagram, on, every other social media. And don't get me wrong, obviously that's fine. Talk is how you kind of sell tickets and that. But let's get down to it now. A bit of niceness from The Rock, a bit of violence from Cody. Standing up for himself, kind of slapping back at The Rock in the most literal sense. Let's move it on now. Let's shut the hell up and get on with it. Roll your sleeves up and kick each other's heads in, so to speak. That's what we want to see now. They all can speak. I mean, we've all got our thoughts, and I gave mine last week that I'm not totally behind this tag match, but it's happening. Let's get it moving. Let's get stuff happening, and we don't want any more 20, 30-minute segments in the ring. We all know these guys can talk. We all know who's positioned where. We all know where the feud is and what it's building to. Let's see some stuff actually happen now.
Just a couple more hellos. Liam's in the chat as well, saying acknowledge him. I won't be doing that tonight, mate. That was last week. You'll get your forfeit coming up soon. Don't worry. But yeah, Craig, I agree with Adam. And like the time for talking now, we want to see a bit of action.
Yeah.
They've not really attacked each other. Well, we've seen Solo and Jimmy attack Cody and cost him a match against Drew, but we haven't seen too much of The Rock get into any action yet. Do you feel it's time for the talking to just shut up?
I agree with both what you've said. It's kind of getting repetitive now. We know what the stipulation's going to be. We know where everyone is, what's happening, what's going on, and kind of going back to what you said about you were disappointed with the ending. So was I. Old Rock is absolutely clotheslining his head off, or punching him in the face. It's like they're saving Rock for Mania in case he pulls something, maybe, or that's kind of the feel of it. They're saving him because he's not properly defrosted or some, smack the hell out of each other. That's what everybody wants, and maybe that's why they're dragging it out, because that's what everyone wants to see.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, maybe it will happen this week. Maybe it happened. The only other thing I'll add for me is, I just felt with the people that were in the ring and what was happening, Roman was just a bit underwhelming for me on the mic. I think the others were. I know Tony was saying that Seth irritates him, but I find him quite funny. Some of the stuff that he says. I just felt, maybe it was just a situation that everybody else maybe got more mic time than Roman, but for me, I didn't feel that he was in it as much. Maybe they meant that to maybe portray The Rock as kind of more important, higher up than Roman, but I guess time will tell.
And George, we said it was rushed. I immediately went to YouTube, because YouTube sometimes normally do what happens after the show, and there was nothing. Did you feel it was rushed? Did you feel there could have been any more added into it, or did you feel it's left you wanting more?
I definitely think it was rushed, and the ending was rubbish. Personally, it's hard for me, this whole segment thing, because putting it bluntly, I don't think Seth needs to be there. So I'm a bit like a husky Drew McIntyre probably at the minute. But we, like Adam said, we know what's going to happen. Like, we've been told numerous amount of times. But I still think there was more, like Craig said, old Rock would have absolutely laid him out. Like, you would be slapping him and then they end the count. Because when I was watching it, I thought, is that it? And then I thought they had dropped the camera if they were like just trying to fight. But it was definitely rushed, and there's more they can do. And then obviously following on, we'll talk about Raw. And I didn't really think of it like how Craig said, but Roman, he was a bit underwhelming. And I know he tried to do a laugh, but he's definitely not got no Seth Rollins laugh, has he?
No, definitely not.
That was a bit. It's frustrating because they've got all that talent there. We know what's going on, but I think they're holding him back. It's like watching the football and they think, hold on, we won't bring Party on in case he gets injured. That's what it reminds me of.
Pretty much, yeah.
Mr. Tom, good point, but we'll get to the Maxine and Candice LeRae segment a little bit later. And Jake, just finally on it, the segment, what was your thoughts on it?
But I don't know if you saw one of the comments, but apparently they rushed. Obviously they rushed the ending.
Yeah, the camera.
Apparently one of the cameramen was pointing his fingers and saying, "Hurry up!" I think Roman felt a bit. What's the word? More pressured, as The Rock was, as his cousin was there, but basically making him do the talking, and basically Roman doing the fighting instead for him, or something like that. Especially at the end when Cody slapped The Rock, made him. Well, he was laughing before, and then you just see his expression change immediately after. But I think it was a bit rushed on the end bit, but obviously we would have thought something would be punching each other and someone would be getting speared or even crossroads or something. But obviously they did security guards outside.
Yeah, the security. I don't know what the security guards were there for. Like, I thought they would have got into it. They would have been pulled apart. You know how we saw when Lesnar used to have fights and he would jump over security and sort of stuff. I thought that's what we were going to see when I first saw security, but I was
proper teased us with it.
Yeah, and some of the security guards were terrible. So it was just it was one of them ones where you were wanting more. But maybe that's what they're building. We might see it in the next couple of weeks.
I'm saying about that. Most of them were actual superstars in the past.
Yeah, the old superstars or future NXT stars. Yeah. So that was SmackDown. To be fair, it wasn't too bad. To be fair, like we say, I think we could feel it was a bit rushed. But yeah, like I say, I think they're just building at the moment. And then we went into Raw and we opened up with Drew who I think personally is very hot on the mic at the moment. Some of the stuff he's coming out with is brilliant. I think they've let him have a bit more freedom on the mic, which is great. And Seth obviously answered the call. George, what did you make of the old Seth Rollins wanted him to Claymore in the face? And was you surprised that Drew walked away?
Yeah, I was saying this to Liam the other day. Like, it really frustrates me because the Seth and Drew rivalry and the feud could absolutely explode if they'd done it the right. I know someone mentioned that on the show last week, but I just think it was building up to make it. Like, it didn't. That's why I say Seth didn't need to be holding Cody's hand. But I just think Drew McIntyre at the minute, he's playing such a great, heel. But yeah, it was interesting that I get confused with Drew McIntyre because I lose track what he's actually going to do from one end to the next. So yeah.
But yeah, he's certainly doing well. And Tony, do you see Drew? He walked away and Seth was left in the ring, kind of expecting more. Do you think that was just mind games? And do you think what Seth said to Drew is actually hurt him? To be fair, because he looked quite shocked with some of the stuff he was coming out with, saying that he's bottom of the list. It goes Rock, Roman, WrestleMania, Cody, and he's right at the bottom. It's quite disrespectful, I think. And I kind of agree with what Drew's saying. He's taking his eye off the ball, and I think it will come back to bite him at Mania. But what did you make of that whole segment?
Yeah, I think I agree with what you said. I think that we've said that the Drew Seth, it needs to have proper billing. It's a sideshow to the main event of the thing. It should be the main event. There shouldn't be no, Seth's got his hands in too many pies. He should just concentrate on one. And I think this is where Drew's going to win the belt at Mania. But I was thinking the other day that they could do a really, really good, because obviously he's kind of feuding with CM Punk and everything like that. So he's not renewed his contract. So maybe he wins the belt at Mania and he does his own pipe bomb. He goes to the top of the ramp, sits down with the belt, says something, gets the belt, says, "I'm going," and just leaves for a couple of weeks. Just an idea to throw out there. That's what I think might happen. They could potentially do that. I think that with the way the story's going at the moment, I think this week's Raw, I think we'll see him attack him, maybe. I think he will actually hit him, because when he was listing the priorities, like you said a minute ago, Jonesy, I don't think Drew McIntyre wants to be there. He wants to be up here. And I think, again, he was just goading him. He was saying things to him. And to be honest, I thought he was going to turn around and Claymore his head off. But he didn't. And at one point, when he was walking down the ramp, I thought he was going to turn around and say it again and then come back. But he didn't. So I'm pretty sure next week, if not next week, definitely the week after, we'll see him attack him.
I know, Adam, you haven't watched too much of Raw. You've seen bits and bobs. I won't ask you too much about the show. But I'm just want to throw it out there with Damian Priest and the Money in the Bank. Do you see him cashing in on Drew, or potentially the Intercontinental title? Or where is he going to cash this in somewhere down the line? Because there used to be a clause where you have a year to cash it in. And, that's slowly creeping up. Where can you potentially see Damian doing it?
Yeah, so I think it's got to be for a world championship. I mean, I think they had Austin Theory failed to cash in the US title, or perhaps successfully, I forget, but pretty sure it was the US title.
Yeah.
So I think they've got to, rebuild the Money in the Bank as being this is your chance at a world championship. I can potentially see him challenging Cody for either a Backlash or whatever the May pay-per-view might be. Because I think, as most of us kind of have suggested, maybe suspect, Roman will probably take a bit of time off after WrestleMania, probably disappear for a little while, so there won't be an immediate rematch. So, yeah, that's going to be my prediction. I think Damian Priest challenges new champion Cody Rhodes at Backlash for the Universal Undisputed, whatever the hell it's called.
Just out every. So, yeah, that was that segment closed. We went into our first match of the night, which was quite a good match. It was Becky versus Liv. It was quite back and forth, to be fair. I think Liv Liv has come on leaps and bounds with her in-ring work. And she pushed Becky to the limits, to be fair. Greg, what did you make of the match?
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. You've got two women that are probably in the top, group on Raw. That could have easily have been a main event for a title. Again, though, we obviously know where Becky Lynch is heading now, where her focus is going to kind of be, well, after obviously being attacked later, by Nia, maybe focus might be going away for a little bit on that, but does maybe Liv take over that? So Becky focuses on Rhea and it potentially sets up Liv and Nia. But again, that doesn't scream WrestleMania. That's the Raw before, or Raw next week maybe. So yeah, great match, but it kind of still leaves what's kind of next for Liv, because we know what's next for Becky. So it'd just be nice to kind of see where that goes. I think she may have a little feud with Nia, but that's pretty much going to be over by Mania, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw Becky get the win, and then Rhea come out, didn't she? And she had a little altercation with Liv on the ringway sort of thing. Liv was saying, don't forget about me. So that's potentially we could see something like that down the future. Rhea kind of said to Becky, you're a bit like your bloke. You need to concentrate on me rather than other things in the match. What did you make of that, Jake?
Yeah, I think that bit was a bit of a good segment. In my opinion, I don't know if it's any other people in this group agree, but I can see Liv being the champion over Becky.
Okay.
As for like the revenge things she's on about, because Rhea and Liv are sort of like my favorite ones. I sort of like Becky, but I think they're just pushing her too much. Putting her in nearly every week. She's been in nearly every week so far before or leading up to Mania, which is sort of draining her, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like sort of draining her stamina for Mania. So yeah, so that's sort of my opinion, but it was a good match. And after the match with Rhea and Liv, little segment, and then
how many of you in here think that Becky wins the title?
No chance.
George?
No, because I don't think it'll be Rhea versus. I don't think it'll just be them two.
What? So you think there's going to be someone included in that match, or?
Yeah, I've said for the last 2 months, and I'll stick to it, that I thought that was going to be a fatal four-way.
Okay.
Nia and Liv being added into it last minute, and then I thought Liv Morgan would win the title.
Okay, Mr. Tom actually in the chat says that Backlash there could be a fatal four-way, so we might be getting one at Mania or Backlash, so it could be on the cards.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I want Rhea to win.
I do, yeah.
I don't know. Like George just said, it's kind of Becky's kind of in your face. She's on everything at the minute, and are they doing that to potentially have her win the title at Mania? Don't get me wrong. I want Rhea to win, but I don't know. There's just this feeling that with everything with Becky being sort of thrown in at everything, I don't think many people, well, it might have been predictable, but some people might have thought that someone else might have won Elimination Chamber. But it just does kind of seem she seems to be involved in everything when it comes to the main women's. So maybe.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of chat on Twitter afterwards, after all, that we were getting the whole "we want Liv" movement thing started up. I didn't think it wasn't quite as much as Cody's one, but yeah, they really wanted Liv Morgan. So I don't know. I think it's a bit late in the day for WWE to listen. Potentially Liv might get a chance after Mania. We'll probably just have to wait and see. And I know it was a little bit later, but I'll go into the altercation backstage. We had Becky and Liv shake hands, and then we heard her coming from about 5 minutes away with her scream, but Nia Jax come and clattered the both of them. And then we had, Becky potentially go on to say she wants a last woman standing match. Tony, where do you see that going? Becky needs to concentrate on Rhea. Are they just keeping her as a strong character with her momentum going into Mania?
Yeah, I think she'll win the last woman standing match. She'll beat Nia next week. They'll keep her strong, like you said. They won't let her take any defeats or falls before then. But then also, I think we just said a minute ago about Fatal 4-Way. Makes sense. Just they're all intertwined in the stories. Just stick them in the ring together, all four of them. Let them sort it out at WrestleMania.
Does Liv come down and help Becky in that last man standing? She was attacked also by Nia, so that's a possibility. That could then lead into this triple threat, fatal 4-way scenario.
Yeah, good shout.
And also, I know what Jones is saying. Is it a bit late? But I don't think it is with Liv and Nia because they're all, like Craig said, entwined.
Yeah.
Oh, you've been fighting each other. You saw it all out in the ring at Mania. As long as they don't do like a female version of Seth Rollins and say, "Oh well, we'll just do a tag match as well."
Yeah.
Just for good measure. Yeah.
But I just why, where does Nia and Liv go from here? Like Craig said, Nia against Liv. It's not. I'm not that excited. Whereas if you have a fatal 4-way, I think in other stories entwined, because obviously we'll come on to Judgment Day, but are they going to risk Judgment Day losing everything all in one night? I don't think they are. So, and I think out of it all, I think Rhea's got the best chance there. But then, Becky Lynch is always in your face. It's so that's what I'd like to see. So I wouldn't even be that disappointed if Nia Jax won it.
Interesting. Adam, I know you didn't watch it, but what's your thoughts on what we talked about in the situation that we saw on Raw?
Yeah, so it's interesting for me. I think Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch is a decent, marquee level championship match at WrestleMania. And I already predicted, I think last week, Rhea Ripley will be one of the few champions that retains at WrestleMania. Clearly, that they're not having Nia Jax and Liv Morgan involved with this. And they didn't have Liv Morgan jump over the barricade last week for no reason, to give her something to do, to fit a segment, whatever. So they're clearly building to something. Whether that's a fatal 4-way or, something at Backlash, I don't know. But my preference would be Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch in a one-on-one match. I think that'll be pretty good. I think it's difficult. We've seen it here and there. There was a men's championship at SummerSlam with Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, and somebody a few years ago. I think it's difficult to have a fatal 4-way or triple threat as a good match. You know what I mean? Just because it's difficult to book, it's difficult to kind of put together. So I'd be disappointed if it wasn't a one-on-one. But like I say, you can see just from my, I'm not even coming to conclusion during this sentence. I'm going all over the place with it. So, there's Liv Morgan and Nia are obviously involved for some reason. And I guess we have to wait and see what happens there.
Yeah, I think we can agree that the women's division needs another title. It needs a women's US championship, a women's intercontinental championship. There's certainly talent there, and there's women there to certainly have these kinds of matches. I think you've got a lot, especially on the Raw roster. Not too much on the Smackdown, but there's definitely scope for a title. If you could pick one women's title to have, would you all agree it'd be the Intercontinental Women's title or a US Women's title?
I see for me.
Intercontinental, I think.
Yeah, I think more prestigious, I reckon, than the US title. So that was that. And then we'll move on to this. This was quite a hot talking point, I think, from Raw. Candice LeRae went full heel. I don't think there was any in between. Craig, I'll go to you. We all know the comments. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I'm quite mixed about it. Like, it's kind of good to see her as a heel, but like some of the stuff she was saying, like you were thinking, "Cool, Jesus, all right, love." But it also kind of took me back to, like, obviously Maxie, you know, she's been getting booed. You know, there's been talks about her struggling a little bit and whatever, and it just kind of takes me back to the Jeff Hardy drunk driving, playing on that storyline, like using his problems as a story. It kind of just had that bit of a feel to it. I think it was good. You know, I do quite like seeing baby faces who you don't kind of expect to maybe be a heel kind of turn. Like, I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, I think some of the comments, I think a lot of people just thought, bloody hell, like, it's a bit harsh.
And Tony, do you agree? Do you think it's a bit of a desperation move from WWE to get her a storyline and to get her over? Using a dead brother is a bit extreme, but let's face it, they've used far worse things, like a one-legged wrestler in the past, so you couldn't be surprised.
I mean, I am surprised with a Triple H-led creative for something like this. Let's just say his father-in-law, possibly, if he was still there, it wouldn't surprise me if this was brought up then. But yeah, I mean, I like Candice. I think Candice LeRae as a heel possibly would be better. I think her as a babyface running around with her fairy wings and all that, it's just, nah, not for me. I mean, let her be heel, but do it in a way where you're not bringing... I understand some elements of real life in the wrestling is good, but it's done in bad taste. Done in really bad taste, to be honest.
George, there's a comment here from Mr. Tom. I mean, we know Christian done it in AEW. Everyone praises his work. Do you feel it's maybe because it's a woman, it's different, or do you feel that we think the WWE has moved on from these sorts of storylines?
I think it's a bit of both, mate. To be fair, like, I think he's absolutely bang on. Like, when you hear Christian do it, and he's a genius, and he's doing his best work possible. Like, some of the stuff he said about Ric Flair, like, you think that wasn't. It was probably true, but it wasn't what you should be saying. I do think there's a kind of an aspect because it's a woman, but I think that's just people's general outlook on it. I do agree with Tony. I think it's done in a bit of bad taste, but I don't actually mind it as much. It's hard to say because, like, I'm not advocating that you talk about dead people and all that stuff, but it's just nice to eventually to see Candice LeRae as a heel instead of that like Tinkerbell rubbish. So I'm, like I said, if it was him who should not be named, nearly dropped it. I can imagine that. I can see it easily happening. Under Triple H, I was quite shocked. I think I was more shocked that it happened than what was actually said, which probably sounds a bit stupid.
Adam, did you see it online, or did you actually see a clip of it?
I didn't. So picking up from this conversation and the comments, she went Christian Cage, and I assume, said similar to what we've seen with Paige before. Obviously, I guess Maxine has a dead sibling, which she referenced and said, and obviously, I guess a reference to her struggles with how she's been received by fans at live events, that type of thing. Honestly, I don't have a massive problem with it. I think when they use this real life stuff, it's a little bit kind of lazy and easy kind of booking. But their characters, sorry for anyone young watching. There's a script in wrestling. Sorry to ruin the magic for anyone. It's still real to me, damn it. But I don't have a massive problem with it. Candice LeRae's cutting a heel promo on the babyface. Maxine Dupree, who cares? It's no different to, we said, The Rock said, "You're a mistake, Cody." Is it that much worse? We barely referenced that. Who cares? It doesn't bother me at all.
That's what I mean.
Cool.
Like, there's an absolute perfect example. So why are people okay with The Rock saying to Cody, basically, you're a mistake? But then, like, what? There's not much, like, not to me. And I just think other stuff that's been said, like it's not the worst thing that's been said in WWE now, is it? Like, I go back thinking, was it the Muhammad Hassan? Like, you'll go, wait, all that way back. So it don't really bother me as much. But if you're going to read into everything, then after stuff that The Rock said in that promo and in other promos, really, and like Craig said with Jeff Hardy's story.
Jake, just who do you think this is going to put over, Maxine or Candice LeRae?
Well, I think they've been doing some of, well, after her stuff with, well, I know she's still part of the, what's it called? The tag team. Had moment with
Alpha Academy.
Alpha Academy. Basically, after when she beat Van Hala once?
Yeah.
And then they've just made her like completely shit, basically.
Yeah.
Where they've dropped everything. That like she gets one win, and then she gets obviously with all the hate from all the fans at the live events, and what Candice said took it. From my opinion, I think they just took it over to the top with the stuff what's happened with her and her brother, which I just don't think WWE should have done. But I sort of understand why they did it. Stuff like what they do with, I think they're sort of copying it with AEW, or like making it female wise, not male wise. Like Christian brings brings out a comedy version of it, but not funny version, but he brings out his side of it, and obviously once it gets to WWE, people have their mixed opinions, but I just think that was just not right what they did with her.
I think they played it well where it wasn't a promo. Like, Mr. Tom said, it was more of an in-ring conversation that, looked like the cameraman picked up. So they played it quite well. We'll see where it goes, but I'm not too sure.
I have to agree with Mr. Tom, what he said when he first heard it. He thought Candice was talking about Max to put LA. Because I went, he's not dead. What are we on about? And then I clicked they must be talking about someone else.
So then we moved on. We had, we'll touch on it a little bit. The Kabuki Warriors defended their titles against Baszler and Stark. We all talked about it in quite detail last week. We don't know where the women's tag team titles are going at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll talk about it a bit more as anything develops, because there's not much to really go on at the moment. We then had the quite interesting interview with Cody Rhodes and Michael Cole in the ring. The tears come out, which I'm not too keen on. I think he can cry for 5 minutes, then automatically stands up and cuts an angry promo. Adam, I'll start with you. What did you make of Cody's promo? Was it strong, or what did you find it a bit weak? I know he's using his family now to gain leverage. What did you make of it, if you saw it? Sorry.
Yeah, so this I saw a clip of, and this is just an aside, and I don't mean this in any kind of unkind way or anything, but Cody kind of really seems to have aged lately. I don't know if it's the work, the stress, this promo, this feud. I mean, he's always looked kind of not a baby face, but baby faced, if you know what I mean, regardless of what side of the fence he was on. But he looks kind of a bit haggard at the moment. Maybe that's just the kind of the character he's playing, or the role he's playing in this feud. I mean, look, he's always been doing it, certainly over the last 5-6 years, cutting these emotional promos, the lump in the throat, the tears in the eyes. It's very Ric Flair, it's very kind of Terry Funk, which is, all the kind of things he's, been inspired by. You can tell his kind of background with, of course, the American Dream. It's fine. It's good. It should feel real. It should feel emotional. It should feel like he's out there bearing his soul rather than reciting a promo, which it sometimes does. But at the same time, does it lose a certain amount of impact if you're getting tearful every week about something else? If you're getting, if you've got to the end of your tether every promo, every feud, every storyline. So yeah, fine, good. He's very good at cutting promos, and that's what this was, to continue his feud, his story. Fine. 7 out of 10. Whatever you want to call it, I'd go to Bret Hart on this. It was fine. It was fine.
Yeah. Any of you guys, anything you want to speak about that promo? It was just pretty much a stopgap filler, I feel, on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think it was a good promo, but again, the cry, maybe he knew the Oscars was on, looking for, a nomination maybe. But yeah, I think it loses its appeal, doesn't it? When he's doing it maybe every other week or every week, you kind of think, you feel for him and whatnot, and he's very good with the emotion, and it does feel real, but it kind of just loses that, I care about this guy. I feel for him, when he was crying last week and then 10 minutes later he was, battering shit out of someone. So yeah, good promo again. Yeah, I'd probably say 6, 7 out of 10.
I do think The Rock's going to lap that up with a Cody crybaby though on Friday.
Yeah, definitely.
Whenever he's back on SmackDown, I get him fine, but just get on with it. Mind me, rush.
Potentially, we could have a Rock concert this Friday. So, I think Tariq. Sorry, I think George, your mic's cutting out a bit, mate.
I was saying he'll probably sing a song about Cody on Friday.
Yeah, definitely.
Tariq in the chat thinks we're all a bit harsh on Cody at the moment, so
no prisoners here, mate.
Yeah, no, we tell it like it is. So yeah, we know that we had that promo. Then we had kind of a strange match with R-Truth and Damian Priest. You had the Regeneration X at ringside, and then we had Judgment Day come out as well. Is that starting? Are we starting to see the end of that, or is that potentially Tony seeing Awesome Truth are going to be the ones that are going to move on to the 6-pack challenge, which we'll talk about in a second?
Yeah, I think that Awesome Truth will be in that match. I think it was like someone said a minute ago, I don't think that they will come out of WrestleMania with their belts. I think they will lose them. To who? Don't put me on the spot and ask me, because I don't know.
I think this could potentially be maybe where one team grabs a Raw belt, one team grabs a SmackDown belt, and that could potentially start the split of the belts. Sorry to interrupt, Tony.
No, it's fine. Obviously, I think NXT as well. I think they'll have a big part to play in this 6-pack match as well, with bring some teams up. But I think that, I think the Awesome Truth will be in this match, and I think they'll play a major part in it. I think the actual match itself was quite good. I think R-Truth, no matter how old he gets, he still can do it.
Yeah.
He's channeling his childhood hero of John Cena.
Yeah.
Channeling his inner Pepe like last night, I think. Yeah.
He literally used every John Cena move available. There's not many of them, to be fair.
The 5 moves of doom, or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
But it was a good match. I like R-Truth. I did like him in Judgment Day, but I was hoping it could last a bit longer. But as I said, all good things come to an end. But yeah, it was a good match, and that's where I see it going.
Yeah, I mean, Triple H must have been watching the show last week, because we all sat in here talking at length what we're going to do with the tag team titles. We talked about splitting them. Someone even, I will have to watch it back, but someone mentioned the ladder match at Mania as well. So he literally was watching our show.
I think it was Tony, wasn't it? Was it Tony?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think I did mention it.
Well, I think what was the last ladder match we had at Mania was with Hardys and Edge, was it, for the tag team titles?
Yeah.
As big as what we're getting this time around. George, can you see it being bigger than that match? I mean, that was such an iconic match, but with the likes of the talent we've got on the roster now, it's potentially could be bigger.
Yeah, I can. I was really happy when I heard the ladder match. It made me laugh when he said, "I don't like heights." So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I do agree with Craig though. I do think that that'll be when they split the belts. Yeah, but I just think it's aiming towards Truth winning the belt, and I think he deserves it really. Like he just makes me laugh, like when he turned up on the wrong day and went instead of Australia, like, sort of thing my brother would really. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward. I do agree that NXT are going to have a big part to play in it as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward. What I was hoping was that's what they would do with the women's tag titles, have a women's and a men's ladder match.
Yeah,
I don't know. They might though. I don't know if we have that many women tag teams really. So yeah, I think. Would it be at the same level as the Hardy? That's hard to say, mate, just because of how legendary they are.
I think it also depends on who's actually in the match.
Yeah, as well.
What sort of competitors are willing to chuck themselves off a ladder or through a table, or I think that will play a key part into whether it's going to be that type of match.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we've got some good teams, I think, at the moment. You know, you can see the likes of maybe Grayson Waller and Austin Theory potentially could be in the match, but they have highlighted the fact there's going to be 2 teams from SmackDown, 3 from Raw. So, yeah, we kind of agree with you. I can see a team from Raw pulling it down, a team from SmackDown pulling the other ones down. So, yeah, I can definitely see the belt splitting. And like I say, we don't know what's happening with the women's tag team titles yet. So we could get another ladder match on night 2, you know, possibly even the pre-show. You don't know. Another promo we had just before the last match was Jey Uso, Mr. Yeet, coming out and challenging Jealous Jimmy, as Michael Cole put it on Raw. We talked about it again last week, so I'm sure they're watching us, but we all called it. And Adam, is this the match you've been longing to see? Finally, the 2 Uso brothers going at it.
Yeah, I mean, whether you'd say longing to see, it's been inevitable, hasn't it? It was going to happen at some point, and I mean, as I said last week, I'm very much looking forward to it. I like them both. You know, they've been one of my favourite tag teams over the last decade or so. I think they're both really good as individuals, both really good wrestlers, they're both really good kind of characters. They both need it, I think. You know, neither one of them has really shone. I know probably JS has been pretty over, but he's kind of bubbled away kind of mid-card without, you know, what's the big feud he's had since the Usos split, since he came over to Raw, you know, bits and pieces here and there. So I think it'll be good for both of them. I think they'll, you know, again, I'm repeating myself a bit from last week, they'll be determined to steal the show and will do so. And we've seen before with, you know, the Hart brothers and the Hardy brothers, you know, when it's real life brothers, they tend to knock shit out of each other for, you know, for real. I think they can do that. I think they will. I think there'll be lots of, maybe, you know, they'll work stiff to be a more family friendly way of putting it. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. And then also Tony as well, you know, can you see obviously Jay should come out on top, and you know that's the push we were calling for last week, or can you potentially see Jimmy winning it?
No, Jay all the way. I think he's been built up slowly been building up to where he is now. I think when he was in the bloodline, you could see he was always the bigger of the 2 brothers, and I think when they split the bloodline apart, he obviously went his own way. He massively took Raw, went on to Raw with Cody, done what he did. And I think that now, the second half of 2024, I think we'll see him in some more important matches, maybe for titles. I could probably see him winning a singles title this year. unless Jimmy interferes again. Then we have Brother v Brother 2 at WrestleMania next year, which you could do. So, but yeah, I'm all for this, and I think Jay will win.
Craig, where do you see Solo playing a part in this?
Oh, good question. I think he's very much in the bloodline, so the bloodline side I think is going to show. I don't see him kind of disrespecting the bloodline and going against them. That's if he even gets involved. You know, his focus might be with the tag match, or even, you know, if it ends up being bloodline rules, he could be very much more focused on that. I'd like to think that if it's going to be potentially match of the weekend, just letting the two brothers absolutely batter the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
There's no need for Solo to get involved. You know, I personally wouldn't like to see him get involved. I think it's one of those matches that can just be them two, a good old fashioned, good old, you know, slobber knocker, just absolutely going at it and then having an outright winner without any sort of interference whatsoever.
Yeah. And there's a good point Tariq made in the chat there, Jake. Could you potentially see Rikishi come in to be a special guest referee?
Yeah, I can sort of see that happening, but I wish it could happen. But yeah, I can possibly see that potentially happen.
And then we go into the last match of the night, which was the gauntlet match. We started off with Ricochet versus Big Ed, JD McDonough. His head's massive. Yeah, kind of Ricochet got the pinfall, and then it was Bronson Reed, wasn't it, who come out? I'll start with you, Tony. What did you make of the gauntlet match? You can go through the whole match, obviously, because we can divulge into each segment. But what did you make of it from start to finish?
I mean, from start to finish, the first couple of matches were just bulk standard, normal. I didn't think they were anything great, to be honest. Until the end. I'm just going to skip right to the end.
Yeah,
I think for me, amazing match. Them two, it was obviously, I think they were playing it where you'd think Chad would win. He was getting near falls. He was working Sammy's ankles, Sammy's legs, everything like that. And I think that was potentially match of the night. I think it was match of the night. The way them two wrestled, I would love to see it again. I think they done really well. I think it was inevitable the winner. I don't think anyone thought anything else. Even if it was going to do it for his child, I don't think he... I just think it was a good match. It got to what it needed to be done, and I think the right winner won.
Jake, what was your thoughts on it?
Obviously, I don't think it should be Sammy going through, but as I've said in chat, that obviously there's some pictures as well saying that Chad Gable didn't have his shoulders on the mat, or that you can clearly see it from one of the pictures. And I know something happening next Raw, like Chad giving a story about what happened, and I think with what's happening, they could do it like, or not exactly like the Rumble, but with like what happened with Batista and John Cena both going out, and then them two having a match and all redoing it again, but or even a triple threat at Mania instead. But I do think that Chad Gable deserves it more than Sami, because we've seen all Sami Zayn stuff of like him talking with Kathy Kelly and Jacqueline and other people about his past stories, and obviously Elimination Chamber, he wasn't pleased with the Rumble, he wasn't pleased, but yeah, I just think that Chad Gable deserves it more. because obviously he said he'd do it for his family, and family come to us, as people say.
And I know, Adam, you saw it last week. You were kind of wanting Chad Gable to do it. Was you surprised at the outcome?
So, I mean, yeah, as I say, you guys are acting as my kind of raw report, so I'm just finding out now that Sami Zayn won, which I am surprised by. I certainly didn't think it'd be just him, as people mentioned last week. It could have been a schmoz ending, an unclear ending with more than one person going through, and I wouldn't be too surprised if there was deliberately some sort of what's the word, discrepancy, whatever it may be, in order to get Chad Gable into that match. The way they built it up, the way they built him up, it does seem, although again, it seems like we're constantly talking about different multi-man matches, multi-person matches. There seems to be very few one-on-one matches at WrestleMania, so maybe it will simply be Sami versus Gunther, and Chad Gable will go and do something else. I don't know. Maybe Alpha Academy will be in that tag match, for example, that tag team ladder match. So yeah, I was surprised Sami Zayn won. I don't dislike Sami, and I've got no particular issue with it. I just would have personally preferred Chad Gable.
And yeah, Craig as well. Was you surprised? Sami got a roll up. It was the ankle lock. Sorry, my mind's gone blank. Gable had the ankle lock onto Sami Zayn, and he caught him in a roll up. The shoulders one of the shoulders looked definitely off the mat. Do you think they're going to play on that and possibly a rematch next week, or include him into the match at Mania? Because like Mr. Thomas said here, the whole daughter storyline is still hanging over Gunther's head.
I'm devastated, mate. Letter to WWE headquarters is on the way. We talk about the Liv movement and the Cody movement. Let's get the Gable movement going. I said I wouldn't be upset if Sami won. I do like Sami. But I just think, Chad deserves it more. I think we will see something with that roll up. I think there's more to that, maybe. Whether Chad comes out and points it out or somebody else potentially. I agree with Adam. I think there's a lot of multi-people matches. I think we need a few decent one-on-ones. So, I think if they're going to do anything, potentially, maybe a rematch. Potentially, then they go with Chad. Or it is just, like you said, Sami outright. That's it. It's done with. Chad goes and does something else. And we just see Sami and Gunther. But I'd like to think either one, whoever it is, I can't see Gunther walking out IC champion. I think they've got bigger plans for him after WrestleMania. I think it's the right time. I think it's the right call. So I just see him being more in the world heavyweight title after Mania.
And George, finally on the last subject of the night, what did you make of it? And can you potentially see Chad Gable, Mr. Thomas said in the chat there, could turn heel?
Yeah, like WWE seem to be obsessed with this finishing their story stuff. And that had Chad Gable all over it. So that's why I was surprised that Sami won. I don't actually mind Sami, but I was reading on Twitter, someone said it was the first time they heard a few people actually boo Sami Zayn when he won. So I think there could be a heel turn. Could it even be Sami? I don't know. But I think I agree with Adam. I don't really want to see it as a triple threat. I'd rather
see some one-on-ones.
Yeah, it's just too much concentrating for me with all these different people.
But no, I think, like you say, Sami got booed. Becky Lynch got booed. I think WWE might have to listen. So that's potentially why they're not closing off any of these storylines as yet. They might, we say they don't listen to us, but they do at the end. Eventually, we got our way with Daniel Bryan. We've got our way with Cody Rhodes. If you're a fan or if you're not, they've still listened. So that was pretty much a Raw for this week. I know, Adam, you didn't manage to catch it. I hope we've done well enough to give you a recap. I've tried my best in my throat, guys. I do apologise.
Very well.
Just before we go, I want to touch on the two guys who were nominated for this year's Hall of Fame. I'll go to you, Craig, because I know you you said on Twitter, it's a good talking point for tonight. But the US Express, Triple H broke the news to them on Twitter, and you can see just how elated they were.
Yeah, real emotion finding out that they were going in. I think they were 2-time tag team champions.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, good. I think it's a good shout. I think who's the other guy? I can't remember the other guy's name. Who
Mike
got?
Rotunda. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry, the other guy who's been inducted.
Oh yeah, we're going to go on to Muhammad Ali as well. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
No, sorry. There's another one as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there's another one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, my bad. I'm jumping ahead. Yeah.
That's all right. No worries. But yeah, no, Adam as well. Your thoughts on US Express and Muhammad Ali going into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, very happy with US Express. Obviously, with there being Mr. Wyndham and Mr. Rotunda, there's going to be nods and I'm sure acknowledgements of Bray Wyatt, of Wyndham Rotunda, of course. I mean, IRS is someone I was watching, as a kid in the corporation and facing the Undertaker, that sort of thing. Someone who kind of easy to hate, love to hate, so to speak, and he obviously been a key part backstage in recent years as well. So yeah, very happy with it. They're very, very credible, very kind of deserving of their space there. Muhammad Ali, once again, obviously, he's certainly a legendary sports person, a legendary, iconic figure with a connection to the wrestling world. So it certainly makes sense. The only thing I would say with Muhammad Ali, of course, who's going to induct him, who's going to accept, it's going to be a little bit, it's easy to say now. Of course, it might have been better if they did it 10 years ago when he could have been there. But yeah, certainly.
Yeah, because he can't accept it just because he is dead. Just to clarify, he is dead. Yeah, just to clarify,
he's not alive. So yes, it's unlikely to be there in attendance. I would have thought. Unless IRS has stolen that urn as well and turns up. Sorry, we're getting to about poor taste. I'll be quiet now before I get cancelled. And yeah, very, very happy, very, very credible.
Oh, I think he's frozen.
Oh,
he got cancelled.
Yeah, no.
He can't that quickly as well.
Someone was listening, Adam. You got frozen out for a bit.
Congratulations. They're already coming for me. Congratulations to them all, is basically what I was saying. Yes.
Yeah. And Tony, your thoughts on US Express? Do you think there'll be a little nod to Bray in there?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Adam said. I mean, there'll be elements in there for Bray. It will be an emotional one, to be honest. I think there's been a few emotional ones over the last couple of years that have brought tears to even a glass eye. So I think that I don't know who will induct him. I'm not sure. Don't know. In terms of maybe the Muhammad Ali, who's clearly not going to accept, but I think maybe Hulk Hogan, because obviously he's part in the match with him, or even Mike Tyson maybe, because obviously with the boxing element of it maybe, and him being his icon and so on. So they're the two that I could see. But then obviously they were talking about getting Sylvester Stallone to do something. Maybe he can induct him. So they're the three people that I think that possibly could have a good shout at doing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a good one. And Jake, just your thoughts as well?
Well, yeah, I think that they obviously, he had mentioned something about Bray. Did they ever mention who's getting the Ultimate Warrior award or no?
They haven't mentioned it yet, no.
Because I think they might give it to Bray for that one, for the Ultimate Warrior, or even Mike Rotunda nominates or says that Bray Wyatt for the Ultimate Warrior reward. But yeah, I think something's obviously with either respect with the Fireflies, so what they did at like all in. Yeah, just think they're gonna do something to respect them, or nominate him for Ultimate Warrior or something award. But yeah, I think that's just going to happen. And obviously with Muhammad Ali, well deserved as well to get the Hall of Fame. And yeah, I think that's good.
And then George, you're a massive Bray fan.
Yeah.
How good is it to see his family be inducted finally?
Yeah, it's amazing, mate. Like, it's probably the only time that I've actually got really upset, and it's really bothered me when like a wrestler's passed away. Like that, it was like I was because of how much of a fan I was. So it's really, really nice. I was just me clutching at straws. I was thinking, could Bo Dallas, like welcome him because all that stuff that's gone on, like online, not the. Was it the? I can't think what the group was called, but so yeah, and then Muhammad Ali, I might have it wrong, but hasn't he got a daughter?
Yeah,
I think he has, yeah.
Something Lalia Ali.
Yeah, so maybe she'll induct him. But yeah, kind of agree what everyone else has said, really.
Cool. And that's it, guys. That's your SmackDown and Raw recap. Thank you for bearing with me. I tried to do my best. I'm now going to have to rest my vocal cords for at least we got time off, if all us Arsenal fans anyway. But yeah, all that's left for me to say is to thank my wonderful panel tonight. George, thank you for coming on.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Excellent. Jake, thank you for coming on also,
Good,
pal.
guys. Thanks for letting me join again.
Cheers. Tony, always a pleasure.
Yep.
Craig, also brilliant. Thank you, mate.
Cheers, mate.
And Adam, thank you.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Cheers. I think all that's left for me to say is, Cody, go F your story.